For 7 years, I was her shadow, the fool who lived for a single glance from the campus queen, Celeste Mo. She took my devotion for granted, then shattered my heart with a cold, "Let's just live our own lives." I tried to move on, but a different girl found me. Lily. A girl so timid she was invisible to the world, a girl who was bullied just for handing out flyers. But when she looked at me, she didn't see a simp. She saw a hero. Years later, my gaming empire is the talk of the industry. And who stands before me, drenched in rain, her family's company on the verge of ruin? Celeste, the queen, finally brought to her knees. "Give me back the love that was supposed to be mine," she weeps. But I look past her, to the quiet woman by my side. The woman who secretly worked 3 jobs to buy me a camera when I was a nobody. The one who taught me my own worth. Celeste thought my love was a prize she could simply reclaim. She never understood. You don't build an empire for the person who treats you like a servant. You build it for the one who shows you how to be a king. In the dorm room that evening, the air was a stale mix of hot wind and the sour smell of cheap beer. Jake Jiang was sprawled on a chair, eyes unfocused, muttering about the major his father had forced him into. His roommate, Ryan Lee, shot a look at Leo as he walked in and whispered, "The boss is drunk again. Go talk to him." Leo shrugged. He'd chosen this major just to chase a girl, after all. He pulled up a chair and played along with the drunken fool. "So, boss, what do you really want to do? What was your original dream?" A fire ignited in Jake's eyes. He sat bolt upright, his voice hoarse. "I want to start a company. Make games." "Oh, games are a product. Have you studied the market?" Leo asked casually. I'm studying it." "It doesn't have to be that complicated," Leo said with a slight smile, like a strategist in complete control. "To make it in the current market, you have to find a different path. Don't think about some big budget production. Start with a casual mobile game. Short development cycle, fast returns, low investment. If it works, you've got your first pot of gold. If it fails, you can walk away without any regrets." Jake was captivated, leaning in closer. "Then, what genre?" Leo lazily opened his laptop and pointed to a game category. "Roguelike. Random, replayable, doesn't need top-tier art. As long as the core gameplay is fun, it can go viral. It's almost tailor-made for you guys." Jake's eyes widened, as if he were a warlord hearing a brilliant strategy for the first time. He grabbed Leo's arm, the smell of alcohol hot on his breath. "Leo, you've got the brains for this. Be my chief strategist. You don't have to put in any money, just your expertise. You'll be my second in command. I'll sell my car, scrape together some more cash, and we'll take a gamble. If we make it, I'll finally be my own man. If we lose, I'll go back and do whatever my dad says." Leo was taken aback by his sudden passion. "Let's talk when you're sober," he said, exasperated. He thought it was just a drunken dream, never imagining that the ripples of this dream would wash over a past he had already resolved to leave behind. At that same moment, in a car moving through the city night, Jake's girlfriend, Chloe Liu, held the steering wheel. The rearview mirror reflected Celeste Mo's haggard face. Jake, in the passenger seat, was drunkenly boasting to his girlfriend about his best friend. That day, the day Celeste rejected me, we were drinking with Leo. At the south gate, we saw this girl handing out flyers getting bullied. Leo didn't hesitate, just went right up and scared the guy off. We later found out the girl goes to our school too. Her name is Lily Liang, super introverted. Leo was lucky to run into her. "It's too late," Jake muttered finally, his head slumping against the window as he fell asleep. Those 3 words pierced Celeste's heart like a needle. The car fell silent. It wasn't until Jake got out that Celeste slowly moved to the front passenger seat. With a trembling hand, she opened her chat with Leo, which had been silent for over a week. Mimicking her old tone, she sent a message. "My mom lied to me again. I'm so sad." 10 minutes passed with no reply. The waiting gnawed at her heart. She sent another. "If you ignore me again, I'm going to tell your mom you bullied me and that you lost her platinum necklace." This time, the reply came quickly. The cold words were like blades, slicing through all her fantasies. "Let's just live our own lives, like we have been these past few days. Let's let each other go. I'm really tired. I want to forget you. You said it yourself. That was the past." Celeste's tears finally broke free. She sobbed silently, sending one last message, "Good night." Back in the dorm, Leo stared at that "good night" for a long time, until his phone vibrated again. He rubbed his eyes. A new message had appeared. It was from Lily. "I'm sorry. I was making you dumplings and forgot to reply. I feel like you're getting tired of kanji, so tell me what you want to eat in the future. But you can't skip breakfast." Leo stared at the screen, then suddenly smiled with a sense of release. He deleted his entire chat history with Celeste, then replied to Lily with a single word. "Okay." That night, he finished the rest of Jake's half case of beer. Early the next morning, a hungover Leo was shaken awake by an equally hungover Jake. But this time, Jake's eyes were sober and determined. "Leo, I wasn't kidding. I'm asking you one more time. Are you in?" He glanced around and lowered his voice. "We've been the closest these past few years. You trust me, don't you?" Seeing Leo's silence, Jake said, word by word, "You've been Celeste Mo's simp for too long. You don't even know your own worth." You need to look up and see yourself. You need to look up and see yourself. The words echoed in Leo's mind. He went to the field where the drama club was rehearsing. Lily was already there waiting, holding a container of steaming hot dumplings. She smelled the alcohol on him and said softly, but stubbornly, "From now on, drink less, okay?" Leo looked at her shy but unwavering eyes and smiled in agreement. As he ate the dumplings, he watched the group of students sweating under the hot sun for their dreams, and something inside him began to quietly shift. A student from the scriptwriting team ran over to thank him, saying the professor had highly praised his revisions. Lily, listening beside him, had a proud sparkle in her eyes, as if she shared in his glory. Looking at the scene before him, Leo suddenly turned his head, truly seeing himself for the first time. He asked the girl beside him softly, "Lily, is it possible that I actually have a lot of good qualities?" Lily was stunned for a moment, then nodded forcefully. Her timid voice held an undeniable certainty. "A lot," she said, not daring to look at him, but her words were crystal clear. "You're the most capable person I've ever met." "So, I am that capable." Leo looked at Lily's earnest expression, unable to hide the smile on his face. He grinned, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret. "By the way, Miss Liang, it's Saturday. You have a tutoring session. I'll drive you." Lily's cheeks flushed. She was about to say, "Don't trouble yourself," but she met Leo's roguish "resistance is futile" expression and swallowed her words. She knew that resistance was useless. It would only earn her more teasing. "That's more like it," Leo said with a satisfied smile. "Experts advise you to resist less. Otherwise, the more you resist, the more excited I get." The girl's ears turned beet red. She shot him a wronged look. But Leo felt great. He said softly, "Who's to blame but you for being too naive to fight back when you're bullied? As long as you don't learn, I'll keep teasing you." Lily turned her head, pretending to have a sudden realization, but she secretly thought to herself, then she would never learn to fight back. On the night of the anniversary celebration, the Jiannan auditorium was packed. Dazzling lights crisscrossed the stage. Lily had never seen such a scene before and stared at the stage like a curious child. Leo watched her, finding her more interesting than any performance on stage. Jake and his girlfriend Chloe had somehow moved to sit next to them. The four of them chatted idly. The first half of the official program was long and boring. Leo was about to fall asleep until the drama club took the stage. He immediately sat up straight. The group of usually wild social butterflies exploded with surprising energy on stage, their performance becoming the first high point of the evening. Leo leaned close to Lily's ear. "Is it good?" The girl nodded vigorously, her eyes shining. "I've never seen anything like it." A few minutes later, Lily took a bottle of water from her bag, carefully unscrewed the cap, and held it to his lips. "Are you thirsty?" Just as Leo took the water, his shoulder was slammed by Jake, and the water spilled all over him. "Are you ever going to stop?" he hissed. But Jake wasn't looking at him. He was staring intently at the stage, his voice filled with a hint of shock. Celeste Mo. The name was like a stone dropped into a calm lake. Both Leo and Lily froze. Lily was the first to recover. She didn't say anything, just silently took out a tissue and gently wiped the water stains from Leo's clothes. Leo's gaze had already shifted from the stage to her lowered eyelashes. He said softly, "Thank you." On stage, Ryan Lee's slightly nervous voice announced, "Next, please enjoy the performance brought to us by the dance club, Big Fish." The music started, and graceful figures in red bloomed like petals. And Celeste Mo was, without a doubt, the most dazzling flower. She stood in the center, her expression poised. With a single gesture, she drew a thunderous cheer from the audience. She was as proud as a peacock, radiant, making everything around her pale in comparison. Chloe secretly watched Leo, but saw that he was just calmly watching Lily wipe his shirt. "I'm going to the restroom," Leo said, getting up. "I suggest you don't," Chloe whispered. "What if she's dancing for you?" Leo paused, but didn't turn back. "I used to play the guitar." She didn't always stay to listen to the whole song. When he returned, the dance was just ending. His seat had been taken by a grinning girl, his sister, Chloe Chen. "Brother, what are you doing here?" "I switched with the guy in the front row. I told him he could get a face-to-face view of the dancing girls, and he ran over without a second thought." Chloe winked smugly, then cozied up to Lily. "Sister Lily, don't worry. Even though I also really like Sister Celeste who just danced, I'm on your side now. You have my full support to be my sister-in-law." Her mischievous appearance instantly dispelled the faint, awkward tension in the air. The gala was nearing its end, and the host began to interview the performers of the most popular acts of the night. Amid a wave of applause, Celeste Mo walked to the center of the stage. "Miss Mo, is there anything you'd like to say?" Celeste took the microphone, and the entire hall fell silent as she began to speak. "First, thank you all for your support. And then, I want to thank someone." Her voice drew out the words, her gaze seeming to pierce through the darkness, locking onto a specific direction. "Leo Chen." The entire hall erupted. Ryan Lee and the female host were both stunned. This was not in the script. A bitter smile appeared on Celeste's face, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I should have said these thanks back in our freshman year. Thank you for helping me so much. Thank you for being by my side all these years. I got used to your kindness, took it for granted, and ignored your efforts. I'm truly, truly sorry. She took a deep breath, as if summoning all her strength. I hope that at our graduation ceremony, I can still see you by my side. Is that okay? After she finished, she bowed deeply to the audience. Below the stage, it was chaos. Who is Leo Chen? Don't sleep too soundly tonight. I just fell in love, and now I'm heartbroken. Amid the confusion, Leo's expression was surprisingly calm. He turned his head, ignoring everything around him, and looked only at Lily beside him. His voice was not loud, but it was crystal clear. It's over. Let's go. Backstage, Chloe anxiously grabbed Celeste as she came down. Are you crazy? This is going to be all over the internet. I'm not crazy, Celeste said with a smile, but tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. I've never been more clear-headed. She wiped her tears, murmuring to herself. It's okay, my makeup isn't smudged. He still saw me at my best. He'll definitely come back to me. Just like when he confessed to me. I've embarrassed myself in public once too. They left the noise of the gala far behind them. Leo drove Jake's car, with Lily sitting quietly in the passenger seat, like a butterfly with its wings folded. Are we still best friends or not? Leo suddenly asked, breaking the silence in the car. We are, the girl answered with almost no hesitation. Then why didn't you share your Odin with me? Lily was taken aback, and she quickly handed the small paper container over with both hands, her voice laced with a hint of panic. I'm sorry, I got distracted and forgot. I'm driving, Leo said, gripping the steering wheel with both hands, a wicked smile playing on his lips. You feed me, okay? The girl's cheeks instantly flushed, but she still nodded. She carefully picked up a fishball, brought it to her lips to blow on it gently, and once it felt cool enough, she slowly brought it to Leo's mouth. Leo just had to open his mouth, being fed like this all the way until the car stopped at the entrance of the familiar alley near Lily's home. I'm going now, Lily said, unbuckling her seatbelt, ready to get out. Okay, Leo said, looking straight ahead without turning back. Say hi to your mom for me. He sat there quietly, not walking her to her door as he usually did. Lily paused for a moment, then finally pushed the car door open and walked alone into the dim yellow light. Her slender figure looked especially lonely under the flickering streetlights. She hugged her canvas bag, her head bowed, walking slowly, her shoulders trembling almost imperceptibly. Tears fell without warning. She didn't understand why. She just felt so sad, so scared. Scared that Leo would leave her alone, just like he had now. Scared that the light she had finally grasped would suddenly go out. She walked and wiped her tears, telling herself she had to finish crying outside, that she couldn't let her mother worry. Just then, Leo's voice cut through the silence of the alley, clear and firm. Lily Liang, lift your head. The girl's steps faltered. Behind her, at the entrance of the alley, Leo stood under a streetlight, watching her from a distance. I said I would always be behind you, and I will be. Slowly, very slowly, Lily finally lifted her head. She didn't turn back, just straightened her posture and walked forward, step by step, until her figure disappeared at the end of the alley. Leo watched her back disappear, then turned around. Sometime, a light drizzle had begun to fall. The cold rain landed on his face, but he didn't seem to notice. He knew that when he heard Celeste's words, his heart had been in turmoil. But now, in the rain, he was perfectly clear-headed. Since he had entered this naive girl's life, he had to see it through to the end. Lily was not a substitute for anyone. She was just herself. His phone vibrated. It was a message from Lily. Go back quickly, don't get wet. Leo smiled and replied. How can I get wet in the car? Are you a fool? You're lying again. I saw you didn't leave. He looked up, and sure enough, from a corner in the distance, a small head peeked out, then quickly retracted when it was discovered. This naive girl was also a little sneaky. Back at the dormitory, the rain had stopped, but the evening wind was bitingly cold. Just as Leo was about to go upstairs, a message from Jake popped up, short and to the point. Come down for a sec. It's urgent. He didn't think much of it, and turned back downstairs. By the dim streetlight, there was no one. He was about to call when he caught sight of a familiar figure walking towards him. The posture, the gait, were so familiar that even as a silhouette, he recognized her instantly. Celeste Mo. The posture, the gait, were so familiar that even as a silhouette, he recognized her instantly. Celeste Mo. Had Jake sold him out? Leo's heart sank. The girl stood before him, still breathtakingly beautiful. A tight black halter top revealed her delicate collarbones, and her long legs were especially striking in the night. She had, for the first time ever, tied her hair up in a ponytail. Seeing Leo's surprised expression, she actually smiled. Jake didn't sell you out. He was drunk, and Chloe took him home, she said, leaving the rest for their lifelong tacit understanding to fill in. So, you had Chloe trick me into coming down? Leo's voice was emotionless. Celeste lifted her chin proudly. We're still just as in sync. But this time, Leo didn't respond. His silence was a wall, polite but distant, shutting her out. Celeste's heart clenched. She was starting to get scared. Finally, she mustered her courage and asked in a small, almost pleading tone, "Are you still angry with me?" Leo laughed, as if mocking her, or maybe himself. "I was never angry with you," he said calmly. "I just don't want to like you anymore." Those words were like icicles, piercing Celeste's heart. Tears instantly welled up and streamed down her delicate cheeks. "Why? Didn't you like me for 7 years?" she cried, her tears like falling pear blossoms. "I know I was wrong. I won't be like that anymore. Please, give me back the love that was supposed to be mine, okay?" Leo watched her quietly, watching this girl who had never begged for anything in her life, completely letting go of her pride in front of him. But his heart was as hard as stone. "No," he said it clearly. "My feelings for you were already shattered by your own hands. That confession was just me drawing a line under it. We can't go back." Celeste's world completely collapsed at that moment. She wanted to explain, but she saw Leo press a finger to his lips, signaling her to stop. It was the last bit of dignity he was leaving her in this relationship. After a long while, she wiped her tears, her voice hoarse. "Take a picture, and I'll go. You used to love taking pictures of me." Leo was silent for a moment, then asked a passing girl for help. He walked to a streetlight. The light cast the shadow of a tree branch on the ground, a perfectly straight black line. He stood on one side of the line, and Celeste stood on the other. In the camera's view, the girl kept wiping away her tears, unable to stop them. And Leo just turned his head to look at her, his eyes empty of any emotion. After the picture was taken, Celeste looked at her phone. In the photo, she was a crying mess, and he was looking at her. This was his final act of gentleness. "I'll send it to you on WeChat," she asked, clinging to one last sliver of hope. "No need." After saying this, Leo turned and walked away, leaving her with a resolute back. "Why? Why is it that the colder I am, the more you pursue me?" He couldn't understand it. He just kept his head down, letting the rain, which had started falling again, soak his hair and shoulders. Late at night, Chloe finally found Celeste curled up in a ball at the entrance of the dormitory. She crouched down and let her friend rest her head on her shoulder. Celeste could no longer hold back and burst into tears. "I was wrong. I really know I was wrong." Chloe hugged her, her heart aching. She said with a bitter smile, "It's no use telling me." Celeste's tears soaked Chloe's clothes. She sobbed, but telling him is useless too. The rain fell for a long time. Chloe stayed with Celeste, who had cried herself dry, huddling together under the eaves of the dormitory entrance. "Before, I'd really forgotten everything," Celeste said, her voice as low as a sigh as she stared into the distant rain. "I forgot how good Leo was to me. Those things had become a part of my life, and I completely ignored them. It's only now that he's gone that I'm finally realizing it." She held out her hand, suspended in midair, as if trying to catch the cold raindrops, or perhaps hoping that familiar boy would pull her up, just as he always had. But this time, there was nothing. "It would be better if he were a bad person." A bitter smile touched Celeste's lips. "If he had gotten angry with me more often, maybe I would have realized sooner how awful I've been. Leo is so smart, he knew everything. He just liked me too much. So much that he couldn't be bothered to play games like slapping me twice and then giving me a piece of candy." The smile froze on her face, leaving only emptiness. That night, Celeste listened to the sound of the rain outside her window and didn't sleep a wink. The next afternoon, Leo was woken up by a call from Lily. "Mia asked if we want to go to dinner tonight. She said it's the drama club's celebration party." The girl's voice was gentle, but with a hint of subtle hesitation. Leo yawned, keenly aware of her mood. "Do you want to go? If you're not comfortable with a big crowd, we don't have to. We can just say I'll treat you and Mia to dinner in a couple of days." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Leo waited patiently, savoring the meaning of the word we. "I don't want to." The girl finally answered in a small voice. "That's right," Leo said, very pleased. "From now on, if you don't want to do something, just say so directly." He was about to hang up when the girl spoke again, her voice rushed. "There's one more thing. I'll treat you to dinner." Her voice was small, even trembling, but her tone was incredibly firm. Leo was stunned. This naive girl who only ever ate fried potatoes was going to treat him to dinner? Before he could answer, she added, as if mustering all her strength, "Just you." This little episode eventually evolved into Mia, upon learning of the situation, postponing the drama club's celebration to the next day and treating just the two of them to dinner tonight. At the hot pot restaurant, the three of them sat around a table. Mia, in revenge for Leo's sneaky tactics, pushed the menu in front of Lily and told her to order whatever she wanted. Leo, on the other hand, took out his phone and was surprised to find his messaging app flooded with friend requests from people insulting him. He just curled his lip in contempt and placed his phone face down on the table. When the people trying to provoke you are this incompetent, you can only find it amusing. The dishes Lily ordered were all things she remembered Leo and Mia liked. She spoke very little, spending most of her time quietly putting food into Leo's bowl with the serving chopsticks, occasionally remembering to take care of Mia as well. The small bowl in front of Leo was never empty. He finally couldn't take it anymore. He gently poked the girl's cheek with the end of his chopstick, a mix of exasperation and amusement in his voice. You're so busy feeding me. How much have you eaten yourself? The girl's cheek was soft, her skin smooth. It was a very pleasant feeling. You finally have some meat on your face, he said, first with delight, then with a frown. Are your bangs longer than they were the other night? Why are you growing them even longer? Lily lowered her head and said softly, it's harder to get bullied. Leo's heart felt like it had been pricked by something. He dropped his playful tone and gently pressed his chopsticks against her forehead, making her look up at him. It's okay, he said with a light laugh, but his voice was incredibly serious. I told you before I'm here. He paused, then promised, word by word. No one can bully you. Not even Mia. As they left the hot pot restaurant, a wave of heat hit them, heralding the official start of the summer night. The streets were a kaleidoscope of neon lights, the smoky aroma of barbecue stalls mingling with the shouts of drunken men, weaving a vibrant tapestry of life. After saying goodbye to Mia, Leo led Lily towards the parking lot. Halfway there, Mia called out to him again. Come here for a second. Leo walked over, seeing her unusually serious expression, and joked, we're not a good match. You should give up now. Mia was so angry she almost forgot what she wanted to say, but she still lowered her voice and said earnestly, you better think this through. Leo looked at Lily, who was waiting quietly under a streetlight in the distance, her shadow stretched long. He asked softly, are you trying to say she can't live without me anymore? Mia was taken aback for a moment, then nodded. That naive girl's heart is too small. So small that it might only have room for one man in her entire life. When she secretly looks at you, her eyes are shining. Leo suddenly smiled, a smile of absolute certainty. Don't worry, he said, looking at the distant figure as if making a vow. I will never leave her. He walked over to Lily and saw her pressing a cross into her arm with her fingernail where a mosquito had bitten her. My fault. I should have given you the car keys first, he said with a smile, opening the car door and carefully fastening her seatbelt. The car drove into the night. Lily asked in a small voice, did Mia say anything to you? Leo didn't hide anything, answering directly. She told me not to leave you. The girl's head instantly bowed lower, her long hair falling to hide her expression, leaving only the faint pink of her earlobes visible. After a long while, a tiny, trembling voice, like a mosquito's buzz, filled the car. Will you leave me? Leo didn't answer directly. Instead, he asked, will you chase me away? I won't, Lily answered dazed. How could I ever chase you away? Then I won't leave you, Leo said with a smile, his tone light, but every word carried a heavy weight. A few minutes later, Lily looked at the unfamiliar streets outside the window and reminded him softly, this road is different from the way to my house. Leo burst out laughing. Of course it's different. This isn't the way to your house. Then, where are you taking me? She wasn't panicking, because she trusted him. To the mall, Leo's voice became serious. To buy you some clothes. Those few white t-shirts of yours are almost worn out from washing. The girl panicked and wanted to refuse, but he silenced her with, you gave me a camera bag, and you're going to refuse a gift in return? How can we be friends if we don't exchange gifts? She was completely flustered by his logic. It wasn't until the car stopped at the mall entrance that she belatedly remembered that the bag was her thank you gift to him in the first place. Leo led her into the women's clothing section, patiently helping her pick out one item after another. But Lily's eyes kept drifting to the price tags, and then she would refuse every outfit Leo thought was suitable with a quiet, I don't like it. Finally, Leo stopped in front of a light green long dress. The style was elegant, but the fabric and workmanship were excellent. A sales assistant enthusiastically approached them. Lily secretly glanced at the price, and her heart sank. Over 600 yuan. That was enough for many pork rib dinners. She looked at the dress again. Although she really liked it, she still said, I don't like it. Let's look at something else. Just try it on. Leo saw through her. Trying it on is free. Unable to refuse, Lily took the dress and went into the fitting room. The moment she went in, Leo turned and quickly walked away. Under the confused gaze of the sales assistant, he returned a few minutes later with another shopping bag. He stuffed a receipt into his pocket, then handed the t-shirt from the bag to the sales assistant and whispered, this t-shirt, please tell her it's a free gift with purchase. Soon, the fitting room door opened. The girl walked out timidly. A light green, waist-cinching long dress perfectly outlined her slender waist and graceful figure. Her long hair cascaded down her back. Her beautiful curves, usually hidden under a loose t-shirt, were now breathtaking under the lights. See? It looks great, Leo said with a smile. Lily's cheeks were burning, but she still stubbornly mumbled, no, it doesn't look good. This is the one. Leo didn't give her a chance to argue. He pointed to the t-shirt in the sales assistant's hand and spouted nonsense with a straight face. It's a great deal. This store is having a promotion. Buy this dress, get this t-shirt for free. Lily blinked her big, bright eyes, watched as the sales assistant skillfully packed the t-shirt, and finally believed him. Leaving the clothing store, Lily wore her new dress, her head bowed, feeling very self-conscious. This was the first time she had worn a dress since she was a little girl, and the first time a boy had gone shopping with her and bought her clothes. These were things she had never dared to even dream of in the past, but Leo had done them for her, one by one, so naturally. At the entrance of the mall, someone had set up a dreamlike sea of flowers made of plastic flowers and small white lights. "Let me take a picture of you," Leo said, taking out his phone and carefully adjusting the settings. "I don't know when you'll wear this dress next." The girl nodded silently and stood in the middle of the sea of flowers. A breeze blew past, and she subconsciously reached up to hold down her long hair. Bathed in the soft light, the scene was as beautiful as a painting. Leo looked at the girl in his viewfinder and suddenly sighed softly. "I wish you would learn to smile." Lily found it strange and looked up at him. "I don't know how to smile." Leo lowered his phone, his gaze falling on her face. In those eyes, always so timid and pitiable, there was no real joy. He shook his head, his voice very soft, but it fell clearly into her ears. "I've never seen you smile. Not once." Outside the hot pot restaurant, the summer night's heat, mingled with the smoky aroma of barbecue, washed over them. Before getting into her taxi, Mia Lin pulled Leo aside, her expression unusually serious. "You better think this through. Lily, she can't live without you now. That naive girl's heart is too small. So small that it might only have room for one person in her entire life." Leo looked at the slender figure in the distance, her shadow stretched long by the streetlight, and suddenly smiled. It was a smile of absolute certainty. "Don't worry," he said, as if making a vow. "I will never leave her." He walked over to Lily, and under the cover of night, led her to the car, but he didn't drive in the direction of her home. "This road is different from the way to my house," the girl said softly. "Of course it's different," Leo said with a light laugh. "We're going to the mall to buy you some clothes." Under Leo's roguish logic of, if you don't accept a gift in return, we can't be friends, Lily was half pushed into the mall. She was like a little deer lost in a bustling forest. For every outfit Leo picked out, after secretly checking the price tag, she would refuse with a quiet, "I don't like it." Finally, Leo stopped in front of a light green long dress. Amidst the sales assistant's enthusiastic introduction, he saw through to the love and struggle in the girl's eyes. He made an excuse for her to try it on, and while she was in the fitting room, he quickly went to another store and bought a simple t-shirt. He then returned, stuffed the t-shirt and the receipt into the sales assistant's hands, and whispered a few instructions. When the fitting room door opened again, Leo's breath caught in his throat. A light green, waist-cinching long dress perfectly outlined the graceful figure usually hidden under her baggy clothes. Her long hair cascaded down her back. Her usual timidity was replaced by a stunning, fresh beauty. "This is the one." Leo didn't give her a chance to refuse. He pointed to the t-shirt the sales assistant was cooperatively holding out. "It's a great deal. This store is having a promotion. Buy this dress, get this t-shirt for free." Baffled by this one-two punch, Lily believed him and walked out of the store in her new dress. At the entrance, amidst a dreamlike sea of flowers made of small white lights, Leo held up his phone. "Let me take a picture of you. I don't know when you'll wear this dress next." The girl stood silently in the middle of the sea of flowers. A breeze blew past, and the scene was as beautiful as a painting. Leo looked at her on the screen, but then sighed softly. "I wish you would learn to smile." Lily was stunned and asked in confusion, I don't know how to smile." Leo lowered his phone, his gaze falling on her face. In those eyes, always so pitiable, there was no real joy. He shook his head, his voice very soft, but every word was clear. "Since I've known you, I've never seen you smile. Not once." He looked at the girl's confused and helpless expression, and his heart softened. He walked over, and with 2 fingers, gently poked her cheeks, forcing her lips into the shape of a smile. "Have you not been happy these past few days?" "I have been happy," she said, her words muffled by his fingers, but incredibly earnest. "Really happy? Then that's your own problem," Leo said, pulling his hand back, his voice becoming gentle. "You're just used to suppressing yourself. You can't hold back your tears, but you've forgotten how to smile." He looked at her eyes, which were once again welling up, and continued, "From now on, smile when you want to smile, and cry when you want to cry. When you smile, I'll be with you. When you cry, I'll wipe your tears. Things are different now, you know? When you're sad, you don't necessarily have to eat a piece of candy." As soon as he finished speaking, a warm tear slid over his fingertip. The girl could no longer hold back and burst into tears. Leo didn't say anything, just quietly, gently wiped her tears, letting her rest her forehead on his shoulder, releasing all the grievances that had been pinned up for who knows how long. Meanwhile, at the girls' dormitory, Celeste Mo expressionlessly rejected another wealthy underclassman who had come to confess his feelings in a sports car. "I'm sorry, I already like someone." The boy was confused. "Then why aren't you with him? Surely no one could refuse you." A bitter smile that no one could decipher touched Celeste's lips. She didn't answer. That's right, they wouldn't have, if she hadn't made one mistake after another. As she turned, she happened to see a couple teasing each other under a streetlight. The girl was playfully complaining about cramps, and the boy was clumsily showing his concern. Finally, the girl leaned in close to his ear, her eyes curving into crescent moons. It'll be better after we have a baby. Celeste stood frozen on the spot. This usually cool and distant girl now had a look of deep envy in her eyes. She took out her phone and looked at her chat with Leo. It was still stuck on the last message she had sent, "Good night." It had received no reply. She bit her lip hard. If our parents weren't so close, you would have deleted me long ago. I really miss you, Leo. She thought to herself, the lights in her eyes gradually blurring into two round moons. Leo took Lily home and politely declined Sarah's invitation to stay for dinner. He knelt beside the wheelchair, speaking to the old woman at eye level, and left the nutritional supplements he had bought. His quiet gentleness brought tears to Sarah's eyes. On the drive back, he received a distress call from his roommate, Ryan Lee. He said he had taken a girl out for Japanese food, but was so scared by the prices on the menu that he was now hiding in the bathroom, afraid to come out. Leo sighed and rushed to the garishly decorated Japanese restaurant. Pushing open the curtain to the private room, he saw Ryan and a girl with a high ponytail and exquisite makeup kneeling on opposite sides of a low table. The girl's name was Serena Chen, the host of the anniversary gala. She was a smooth operator, easily wrapping Ryan around her finger, ordering dishes without hesitation. Leo watched with a cold eye. When Serena deliberately tried to embarrass Ryan with some obscure point of Japanese dining etiquette, he calmly defused the situation by asking the waiter for guidance, claiming it was his first time. Throughout the meal, Leo barely spoke, but he saw through all of Serena's tricks. When the bill came, the price of 1,988 yuan made Ryan's face turn pale. Serena said, "I'll get it," but made no move. Leo stopped Ryan, who was about to pay through gritted teeth, and said to Serena, "Let's split it. I saw you didn't eat much." In the end, Ryan still insisted on paying. In the private room, Serena still wore her sweet smile. She looked at Leo with interest. "You know, I remembered you from the freshman welcome party. Can I get your number?" Leo didn't even lift his eyelids. "I don't think so. I'm afraid another girl might not be happy." "Didn't Celeste already reject you?" Serena said, resting her chin on her hand, a look of someone enjoying a good show on her face. Leo finally looked up, his gaze calm and unwavering. He said coolly, "I didn't say it was her." Inside the car, the neon lights of the Japanese restaurant flickered across Leo's expressionless face, like a silent film. After seeing Serena off, Ryan sat in the passenger seat, a foolish grin still on his face from being flattered. "When I treat Lily to a meal, she hesitates to even order a 10 yuan dish." Leo's voice was cold. He didn't look at him. "When you were paying just now, Serena asked for my number. I refused." Ryan was taken aback and tried to defend her. "Maybe she just wanted to get to know my friend." "You're even more delusional than I was." Leo cut him off sharply, his tone filled with a mix of anger and disappointment. Would Chloe eat a 2,000 yuan meal on Jake's dime? No, she would break his legs. Lily wouldn't either. She would see the bill and cry with regret. "What about Celeste then?" Ryan retorted, trying to use Leo's past to shut him up. Leo's face instantly darkened. "Celeste once gave me a $3,000 camera. Go ask Serena to give you one and see what happens." The car fell into a dead silence, broken only by the low hum of the engine. After a long while, Leo spoke again, as if to Ryan, but also to himself. "What's unequal isn't love. It's one person taking advantage and the other person being moved by their own devotion." Meanwhile, Celeste was buried in a pile of complicated class files. These were tasks Leo had been doing for her for 2 years. Now that she had taken them on herself, she was only just beginning to understand the unseen labor. The ache in her neck made her frown. She said softly to Chloe, who had come to pick her up, "Leo, he must have been so tired. And I used to complain that he was slow. Why have you been wearing your hair in a ponytail lately?" Chloe changed the subject. "Leo likes it." Celeste's reply was casual, but laced with an endless sense of loss. "I saw that girl. She wears a ponytail." Chloe massaged her neck sympathetically. Celeste closed her eyes, and tears slid silently down her cheeks. "I'll pay him back. All the good things he did for me. I'll pay them all back, without missing a single thing." A sudden downpour started. Celeste returned to the empty Riverview apartment. The moment she walked in, she saw her nominal stepfather, lounging on the sofa, playing on his phone. She ignored him and went straight to her room. But after rummaging through her things, her face turned pale. The music box that Leo had given her for her 12th birthday, the one that held all her childhood grievances and comfort, was gone. "Where's my stuff?" "The music box on my nightstand." She burst out of the room, her voice trembling. The man didn't even look up, flicking his cigarette ash impatiently. "I had the cleaner throw it out. It's such a childish thing. How old are you? Grow up. You're not my dad. What right do you have to tell me what to do? I'll just buy you another one. I can get as many of those worthless things as you want," the man said, slamming the door on his way out. Thunder rumbled outside, and lightning bleached the room white. Celeste stood frozen like a statue. She remembered the handsome little boy, how he had magically pulled the music box out of his pocket, held it to her ear, and said in the quietest voice in the world, "Sure. Lin Qian doesn't have one of these. I'm only giving this to you." When she came to her senses, she was standing by the trash cans downstairs, letting the heavy raindrops soak her to the bone. She looked up, her gaze sweeping coldly over the filthy trash cans, and muttered, "This is why I hate thunderstorms." Sometime later, the cold rainwater had been replaced by the hot water of the shower. Celeste stood under the spray, clutching the foul-smelling wooden music box she had recovered. She looked at the C and M, sloppily painted on the back with correction fluid. The C was written by Leo, and she had added the M herself. "Your C is so ugly," she said with a smile, but her tears mixed with the hot water, impossible to stop. She slid weakly down the wall to the floor, hugging herself tightly, and finally broke down into sobs. The next day at noon, in the noisy cafeteria, Leo rested his chin on his hand and quietly watched the girl across from him eat in small bites. Lily felt extremely uncomfortable under his gaze, her heart pounding in her ears. Why are you staring at me?" she finally managed to mumble. "Lost your appetite recently?" Leo looked at her barely touched food. "Is it the heat? Are your dark circles also because of the heat?" Lily looked up, her moist eyes pleading. "Can I tell you later, please?" Leo's heart softened, and he smiled. "Okay. As a reward for learning to refuse, you're one step closer to smiling at me." But the next second, the girl lowered her head and stubbornly explained, "The dark circles are because I've been really tired lately. I wanted to work a little harder." Leo was stunned. This naive girl, because she didn't want to refuse me, she told me anyway? He reached out, pushed the bangs from her forehead, and carefully studied her weary little face, sighing with concern. "You can't get fat from one bite. After lunch, I'll take you somewhere to rest." In a secluded corner of the campus, a pavilion stood by the water, quiet and peaceful. Leo hopped onto the stone table, looking down at the girl sitting on the stone stool, and began to scold her with a straight face. "Miss Liang, have you realized your mistake? The bit of weight I managed to put on your face is gone again. You're going to exhaust yourself like this." "I know I was wrong, Teacher Chen," the girl said with her head down, her voice soft and meek, like a primary school student who had made a mistake. That, Teacher Chen, flipped a strange switch in Leo's heart. He quickly cleared his throat. "Just lie here and sleep for a bit. I'll wake you up when it's time." The girl obediently rested her head on the stone table and fell asleep almost instantly. Leo looked at her peaceful sleeping face, and a warmth spread through his heart at her complete trust. A gentle breeze blew, ruffling her hair. He smiled and reached out, gently tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. That afternoon, Leo rarely returned to the classroom for a lesson, but his mind was filled with the girl's tired face. "Listen to me." He had already come up with a plan. "Quit those part-time jobs. I'll find you tutoring work. Then the two of us can. Well, I'll handle the friendly negotiations with the anxious parents, and you just have to teach." He poked the girl's cheek beside him and said seriously, "Miss Liang, please tell yourself over and over again. 1 hour of tutoring can earn you what you make in a whole day at your other jobs. But if you don't like it, I'll support your decision." A warm feeling surged through Lily's heart. She said softly, "Thank you. I don't dislike it." "Thanks are too cheap," Leo said, dissatisfied. "You should repay me. Give me a smile. I've never seen you smile." The girl tried to curve her lips, but her expression was as stiff as a cry. Leo sighed. "Forget it. Try again when you're happy." In the classroom, Jake and Ryan were still arguing about their life choices. Chloe was in the front row, chatting with a friend about Celeste, who had taken a leave of absence due to not feeling well. Leo listened with half an ear, casually joking with Jake and the others. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. A text message from Sarah made his face change drastically. "Leo, Lily fainted at her part-time job. The hospital just called me. Could you please go check on her?" Leo shot up from his seat, and the entire class's attention instantly focused on him. "Teacher, my stomach hurts," he shouted, and under the astonished gazes of the teacher and his classmates, he bolted out of the classroom like an arrow from a bow. In the hospital corridor, the pungent smell of disinfectant filled the air. Leo leaned against the wall, panting heavily. He spotted Mia, who was standing at the door of a hospital room, wiping her tears. "What happened?" He rushed over, his voice hoarse. "Lily, low blood sugar." Leo's heart, which had been in his throat, dropped. He leaned against the wall, drained of strength, and let out a long sigh of relief. The doctor said it wasn't serious, she just needed to rest. Leo pushed the door open and saw the pale girl on the hospital bed. His heart ached again. "Are you going to listen to me from now on?" he said, sitting by the bed, gently poking her forehead as he softly chided her. "You're already a fool. If you get any more foolish, how are you going to live?" Lily just kept her head down, letting him poke her. When she secretly looked up and saw the smile on his lips, she couldn't help it either. A real smile finally appeared on her weary face. Mia made an excuse to buy something and tactfully left them alone. Leo unwrapped a piece of candy and held it to the girl's lips. "Here, open up. A reward for smiling at me for the first time." The girl blushed, her lips pressed together, refusing to open them. "If you keep dawdling, Mia will catch you," Leo threatened. As soon as he said it, he felt a soft, moist touch on his fingertip. The candy had been snatched away by the girl in a flash, leaving behind a faint, cool dampness that made his heart tremble. He swallowed hard. He turned his head in surprise and saw only the girl's flushed profile and her tightly pressed lips, which seemed to still hold the sweetness of the candy. Achievement unlocked, successfully fed, under very strange circumstances. Leo looked at Lily's blushing profile and started to grin foolishly himself. He suddenly realized this felt like playing a turn-based game. This naive girl would land a critical hit on him every now and then, catching him completely off guard. No, I can't let my guard down. I have to maintain a steady output. The advantage is mine. Not bad, not bad. He cleared his throat, savoring the feeling on his fingertip, and said shamelessly, "You finished that one quickly. I'll reward you with another one later." "No, I don't want it." The girl's voice was trembling. "You're tricking me again." "I only trick you," Leo said, gazing at her with a smile. "Don't you like it?" The girl immediately buried her head in the blankets, protesting in silence. Leo smiled and handed her his phone. "Give your mom a video call. Let her know you're okay." "What's the password?" the girl asked in a small voice. Leo's expression was calm. "Your birthday." Watching the corners of the girl's lips curl up slightly as she entered the password, Leo silently declared to himself, "This round, I win again." After the video call, Leo walked to the window. He then, as a favor to Chloe, who was still trying to get leave for Celeste, made a quick call and got the leave approved by their advisor. Just as he hung up, the door to the hospital room was pushed open, and Mia burst in with a large bag of snacks. "I'm back." But just as she started to make a fuss, her phone rang. It was a surprise inspection call from her mother. After a frantic explanation, Mia could only, with a long face, hand over the responsibility of looking after Lily to Leo. "Lily, you have to protect yourself," she said, not forgetting to shoot Leo a warning look before she left. Once again, only the two of them were left in the room. Leo looked at Lily, who had started to nervously fidget with her fingers again, and said softly, "Don't be nervous. I'm a perfect gentleman." "I believe you," the girl answered in a small voice. "But now that you're in my hands, don't even think about resisting," he said, his tone shifting. He watched as the girl's eyes widened, then added, "I mean, you have to eat your dinner." A bowl of warm congee was quickly delivered. Leo held the bowl, sat by the bed, scooped up a spoonful, and held it to her lips. "Open up. I want to eat it myself." "No, you don't. A patient should do what a patient is supposed to do." Under Leo's mix of hard and soft tactics, the bowl of congee was soon empty. As the night grew deeper, Lily, under his gentle gaze, fell peacefully asleep. Leo looked at her sleeping face with satisfaction, until his own phone ran out of battery and turned off. He walked to the bed and gently woke her. "Let me borrow your phone. I need to find a power bank." The girl mumbled a sleepy "Mm." "What's your phone's password?" he asked. The girl turned over and answered in a voice thick with sleep, "Your birthday?" Meanwhile, in another apartment, Chloe couldn't get Celeste to open her door. After several calls, the door finally opened. Celeste, wearing a camisole nightgown, her eyes unfocused, staggered back to her room and collapsed onto the bed. "Oh my God, you're burning up," Chloe exclaimed, touching her forehead. "You have a fever? How did this happen?" "Stood in the rain, looking for something," Celeste mumbled incoherently. "In the trash can." "The trash can." Chloe was beyond shocked. An image of a beautiful girl frantically digging through a trash can in a torrential downpour flashed through her mind. She struggled to give the feverish Celeste, whose temperature was over 102, some medicine, and sat by her bed, keeping watch. Listening to her friend call out Leo's name in her sleep, Chloe's feelings were extremely complicated. If you were going to be this devoted, what were you doing before? In the evening, Celeste, her fever having subsided, woke up. When she learned that it was Leo who had helped Chloe get her leave of absence, she was stunned for a long time. Then she took out her phone and dialed the familiar number. What came from the other end was the cold, robotic system prompt. "We're sorry, the user you are calling is currently on another call." The phone slipped from her hand. She buried her face in a teddy bear, her shoulders shaking silently. She knew that if she hadn't made one mistake after another, the person taking care of her right now would have been Leo. Leo silently hung up the phone and looked up at the girl sleeping peacefully in the hospital bed, a sense of calm in his heart. He hadn't noticed that he had just subconsciously rejected the call from the number that had been pinned to the top of his contacts for 7 years. He picked up Lily's phone and skillfully entered his own birthday. The screen unlocked. Critical hit after critical hit. This turn-based game was really something else. Lily mumbled, "Your birthday," in a sleepy haze, and then fell back into a deep sleep. Leo stood frozen, his fingers still hovering in midair. It took him a few seconds to process, and then a foolish grin spread across his face. He turned and left the room to rent a power bank, and when he returned, he moved as quietly as a cat, afraid of waking the girl. After plugging in his own phone, he was about to place Lily's back on the bedside table when his thumb accidentally brushed against the Notes app icon. He wasn't interested in other people's privacy until he saw his own name among the dense lines of text. He opened it and found it was a ledger. At the very top, it read, Mom's surgery fee, 140,000. Scrolling down, a small line of text caught his eye. Leo's camera, 12/8/88. It was followed by a diary-like entry. I hope I can cure Mom's illness soon, and then I can save up to buy a camera for Leo. He looked so sad when he mentioned it, and only smiled after he noticed I was looking at him. He probably thinks I'm too foolish to notice. But I did. I want him to be happier. He's like a ray of sunshine that has entered my dim life. So I hope his face can also have a brilliant smile. Keep it up. Lily, you can do it. Leo was stunned, the faint light of the phone screen reflecting in his moist eyes. He continued to scroll down, seeing the list she had made of his likes and dislikes, and seeing that her most recent clothing purchase for herself was less than 40 yuan. He finally understood why she had been working so hard lately, and why she had collapsed from exhaustion. This foolish girl put everyone else first, and herself last. He sniffled, silently closed the app, and stood quietly by the bed, watching the girl's peaceful sleeping face, his heart filled with a mix of emotions. He didn't know how much time had passed when Lily woke up and was startled to see him standing there. "Why aren't you sleeping?" she asked timidly. "You were just talking in your sleep," Leo said with a smile. What did I say?" The girl was both shy and anxious. Leo just smiled and said nothing, letting her imagination run wild. Seeing her as anxious as a cat on a hot tin roof, he found it amusing. He reached out and tucked her in. "Go back to sleep. It's still early." The girl glanced at the hard companion bed and asked in a small voice, "Do you want to sleep on the bed?" Leo froze. "Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll sleep on the floor," the girl quickly explained. Leo was speechless. "You'd be better off not explaining." He unwrapped a piece of candy and held it to her lips. "Open up. This is a reward for being a little more cheerful than before." The girl stared at him blankly, then suddenly mumbled, "I'll be good and let you feed me, and then you can sleep on the bed, okay? I've already slept for a long time." "Miss Liang," Leo found it amusing, "you're in no position to bargain right now." The girl pouted and could only reluctantly open her mouth. As she took the candy, she quickly bit his finger. "Ah," Leo yelped. Before he could retaliate, he saw the girl give him a triumphant, genuine smile. Her clear eyes curved into crescent moons, and her two faint dimples, in the dim light, were like a blooming night Sirius, so beautiful it made him feel a little dazed. At that moment, he wished with all his heart that his eyes were a camera, so he could capture this moment forever. A few days later, Leo saw Lily's busy figure at a courier station. He stood in the distance, watching her silently, his heart aching with a mix of helplessness and concern. He called Ryan Lee and learned that her part-time job there only paid 1,400 yuan a month. To buy that camera worth over 10,000, she would have to work for nearly a year without eating or drinking. If a girl did this for you, what would you do? Leo asked himself. The answer came quickly. He dialed Jake's number. "Boss, let's go for something big." "That's right. I'm in." A dark Mercedes drove along the road, into the sunset. Inside, Jake excitedly slapped the steering wheel. "What made you suddenly change your mind?" Leo looked at the scenery flying by outside the window and smiled. "Because a fool is working to save up to buy me a camera. So, it's only natural for me to find a job for her, right?" "You really trust me, huh?" Leo remarked. "Of course." Jake exhaled a puff of smoke. "We've known each other for 3 years. You're my best friend. That's the main reason I trust you. The secondary reason is that you're actually capable." Night fell. Jake parked the car by a bridge, and the two of them leaned against the railing, the river wind messing up their hair. "All right, I have no attachment to this car anymore. I'll sell it in a while, and we'll take a gamble. Even if we don't make it, I won't regret it." Leo tilted his head and looked at him as if he were a fool. "Who told you you had to sell your car?" Jake was stunned. "If we don't sell the car, where will the money come from?" Leo leaned against the railing, a slight smile on his lips. In the night, his eyes shone with a surprising brightness. "Since I'm here, it means I have a way."